So we have a hacker that breaks down what this digital ID could mean for your privacy.
Absolutely no way of restricting any app, especially an app that needs access to your network and to cell networks, which it will, because it will have to talk out of your phone to some degree, even if that's only for updates, without giving away a plethora of information.
Let's have a look at another aspect of those digital IDs. How safe will they be? How much information about you will they carry? Let's welcome to the show Mike Godfrey, cybersecurity expert, former hacker and director of Insignia Security, and friend of the show. Mike, welcome back.
Right, Alexis?
Mike, setting aside the rights and wrongs of whether we need digital IDs or not, a system like this, one of the biggest sort of concerns that I've come across is people are saying, well, look, we're looking at the companies being hacked left, right and centre. What guarantee have we got that the government's going to be able to keep our data safe? Have you got concerns over these digital IDs?
I've got major concerns with it. I think it's one of the worst ideas that we've had in a long time. And I'll pull no punches when it comes to that. So firstly, I think we need to be clear. It's not an ID. We've got ID already. So we've got a driver's license. We've got a passport. This is an app. So let's make no mistake about it. It's an app. So if we have a look at what that app is trying to stop. So firstly, illegal migration. Now, like you've rightly said, this relies on a black economy. So Alexis, you and I have been in the dark web. The reality of it is that you can buy and you give that person that owns that account a cut of whatever revenue you make.
Mm-hmm.
Digital ID is not going to stop that. If you're somebody that's working in the shadows, in the black economy, digital ID is not going to be a concern at all. Even when Keir Starmer said you risk being sent back, people traffickers aren't going to care about that. These are people that are in shootouts, in violent crime. They're not going to care if Keir Starmer says that they're at risk of being sent back.
It's a classic thing where you've got people in the government all sitting at a table. They're like, oh yeah, the criminals, they're gonna really hate this, when they haven't done any research about how the criminals operate. And it's like, they don't care about this stuff. It's like they go nowhere for an extra opinion. Like, again, it's just showing how they're not interested in listening. They just have a good idea. It's like in the States, right? In the States, they hired this girl, and her sole responsibility, her job in the government, was to find new ways to talk to young men. And just to add to that, this girl was the classic, and I'm not pulling any. This is a very much a blanket statement, very much an assumption. But it's just a pattern I've seen in life. the nose ring, blue hair type person. And it was her responsibility to find out how they can help the Democratic Party figure out a better way to talk to young men. Who on earth made that decision? Young men typically, and especially the young men in the gaming community, which is a large community, by the way, typically these people don't want to listen to the nose ring person. Yet that is who they've decided at the table inside the room. Yeah. Oh, you said you know how to talk to men? Okay. All right, you do that then. We'll pay you loads of money to do that. And of course, like 6 weeks later, she was fired because she was rubbish at the job. Because she's not the person to communicate to young men. Like, it's like nonsensical decision making. And this is the same thing with the digital ID. They're like, I feel like they just don't ask anyone else. They just kind of do what they think they should.
So we need to look at the reality of that to start with. Now that we've kind of established that this is an app, not an ID, what limitations does that have? So the government over the years have had to make a number of exploits to hack my device, your device, any member of the public's device. Tools like Dropout G, tools like Grey Key, tools like Celebrate that law enforcement use. What they're now asking us to do is install a digital app, which we know from previous history does not go well. 70% of government apps have what would be considered overreach. Mm-hmm. So an article in the Cybersecurity Journal 2021 said that 70% of these apps request permissions where they don't need them. In the case of COVID apps, 40% requested what was considered to be dangerous permissions, and 90% of those apps overreached.
Mike,
so we don't have a good
can we explain to people what dangerous permissions might be? So are they asking to use your location when they don't need to, or have access to your contacts when they don't need to, or your microphone or your camera? Is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely, the whole shebang. So if you look at what would happen with a digital ID, well, firstly, you'd have to verify yourself with a picture or with something similar to tools like SumSub. So if you've got a Monzo account, Revolut account, you've had to go through some sort of face verification or biometrics verification. So it lasts for that. We'll have access to local storage, so access to cryptographic keys. That local storage is shared with WhatsApp, with Facebook, with Instagram, that kind of stuff. Your location. So people say, but I've got privacy settings. But for this to communicate with the outside world, it has to reach a network, whether that's a cell network or a Wi-Fi network. If you connect to a Wi-Fi network with an app with sufficient privileges, i.e. access to your device because you've installed it, that is a goldmine for any hacker. And I think we should treat governments in the same way. Like I say, history tells us that it doesn't go well for us as the public when this starts happening. And also, bear in mind that this app would be able to see your banking apps. Potentially, it could encroach on those banking apps, be able to see what you do in terms of movements, what ads you watch, what areas you go to, your financial information.
The crypto you hold, the websites you go on, all of your behavior.
Your Bluetooth information. It's a malicious app. If you took the digital ID logo off it, it would be one of the most malicious things that they're proposing to put on your phone. Absolutely.
But Mike, do we know yet what this app, how this app would be designed? Because everything you described is perfectly possible. We know apps can be very invasive. You and I have spoken publicly about the TikTok app, for example, and what it takes from your phone and what it takes from your data. But aren't there opportunities or the possibility of designing an app that is actually quite curtailed in what it can monitor about you? So it's not going to be able to get your location or access to your banking apps or access to all these things that you described. Is there the ability for this app to be designed in a way that it's not as intrusive as it could possibly be?
Not really, because it's built by design. So the internet, when it started as Milnet and ARPANET, was never built for privacy. It was built to be completely open. When you build an app of this type, even connecting to cell locations, police at the moment, so if you call 999, even on a dumb device, so not even a smartphone, they triangulate your location almost instantly. So there is absolutely no way of restricting any app, especially an app that needs access to your network and to cell networks, which it will, because it will have to talk out of your phone to some degree, even if that's only for updates, without giving away a plethora of information. Now, do we know how this app is going to be built? No, not exactly, but we know how apps are built, and we know that the contract for this is potentially going to Multiverse, to a company that build apps. So there's only certain ways to build an app, and it will be excruciatingly difficult, if not impossible, to do that without encroaching on privacy. And like I say, in my view, we don't need it. If there was a good reason for it as to why I'm going to give potentially a nation state keys to the kingdom privileges of my device, then yeah, maybe I'd be open to it. But stopping small boats is a Labour policy. So for them to come and say this is going to stop small boats, we all know it's not going to stop small boats.
Yeah, it's like such a bad angle. It's such a bad take.
So why should my privacy be at the cost of what they say is stopping small boats, which it isn't going to do anyway? If it was a solution to a problem, I'd be open to it, but it's not.
Just a last question, Mike, because it's come in from Chris. He says, the only people who object to digital IDs are those with something to hide. It's perfectly possible to create secure loggings to electronic devices such as Face ID on iPhones. What do you say to Chris?
Yeah, so I hear this all the time from the same people that say, oh, only criminals should be worried. But actually, no. So you know the famous saying, give me the man, I'll show you the crime. And I just don't think. I think privacy is something that I value highly. I think everybody should. If I've got access to photos on my phone, I've got 100,000 photos on my phone. Some of those are my kids on holiday, my kids in their first bath, all these different things. So I don't think that apps should even have the opportunity to get permission to that. Now, look, I'm obviously what I would say probably a niche because I work in cybersecurity. So I heavily air gap social media. I don't have any social media on my phone. There is not a single chance in the world that I'm putting digital ID on my main device. But that's not the point. Most people are just going to click accept and they don't know what they're accepting. They don't know what rights they're giving up. And I hear the same thing from people saying it doesn't take face, it doesn't take your face, it doesn't take your biometrics. No, it doesn't. It passes a secure token or a key over to it. So we can get into the technicalities all we want, but the reality of it is governments and especially intelligence agencies spy on people, and this is giving them something, like I say, keys to the kingdom access. And I'm not comfortable with it.
Mike, thank you for your thoughts. Good to speak as always. Mike Godfrey there.
Very good, Mike. I hope I get to see him talk at some point as well in the future. That was great.